Hello there. The UK is preparing to restart several coal-fired power stations as a cold snap has persisted for several days. They are intended to help secure the power supply, as the British grid operator National Grid ESO announced on Monday. The country actually wants to completely phase out coal-fired power generation by 2024. As a result of the Russian war against Ukraine, the government in London has agreed with three companies to keep their coal-fired power plants on standby. National Grid ESO on Monday ordered energy supplier Drax to ramp up two reactors at its coal-fired power station in Yorkshire. This should give the public confidence in energy security. That's how the network operator explained it. That doesn't mean that the reactors will deliver power as early as Monday, but they are ready if necessary. That's how the company clarified it. The coal-fired power plants West Burton A of the French operator EDF and Uniper's Ratcliffe can also generate electricity in an emergency. All three energy suppliers together can supply 600,000 households with electricity. National Grid ESO published its forecast for the winter at the beginning of October and was generally optimistic. According to this, punctual power failures to relieve the system can only be expected in emergencies, and consumers were called upon to save. Around half of the electricity in Great Britain is generated from gas, but the country is not as dependent on Russian suppliers as other European countries. The fuel comes mostly from Norway and also from their own production in the North Sea. Britain's national grid operator said early Monday morning that it had prepared two reserve coal-fired power plants in case demand exceeds the country's regular power supply. The readiness message for the two Drax plants, which can each generate 570 megawatts, was withdrawn hours later, as Reuters reported. A perfect storm was brewing, wrote Refinitiv analyst Gabriel Martinelli on LinkedIn. We expect a supply gap of 2 to 8 gigawatts in France and an extremely tense situation in Belgium and Great Britain as well. That's how Martinelli predicted at the weekend for Monday and Tuesday. He also did not rule out load shedding, that means targeted shutdowns of large customers. France is likely to have averted the Fiat bottleneck for the time being by ramping up nuclear power plants and high electricity imports. According to Martinelli, the French nuclear power plants are delivering more than 40 gigawatts of power for the first time since March. Without this nuclear power, we would have seen bizarre price spikes in Europe this week, said Danish economist and podcaster Andreas Steno-Larsen. France currently has to import large amounts of electricity from neighboring countries for repairs in its nuclear power plants, a lot from Germany, by the way. The country normally exports electricity. As Martinelli explains, the wind turbines in Europe are currently delivering less electricity than usual at this time of the year. And in Great Britain, it is only around 2 gigawatts, 9 gigawatts below the standard value. And hydropower is still suffering from the effects of the century drought in Europe this summer. The hydrological situation has not yet returned to normal after the severe drought this summer, said the analyst, referring in particular to France. As a result, the gas-fired power plants in Great Britain and France will run at full capacity during peak periods this week. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.